Simply sensational. Lionel Messi, 2 goals in the first 22 minutes of his first start. Is it what you expected from him in his first start, or was it more than what you expected?
I think it was what I hoped. It's what I knew was possible from Lionel Messi. The key, look, we talk about this all the time. The key to players coming into MLS, it's all about the attitude and the effort that they're going to put forward. If they let their talent rise to the top, they'll be successful. If they think they can cruise in this league at 75%, then they will struggle. And obviously the attitude of Messi to start so far has been exactly the way everybody wanted it to be.
The odds makers are really loving Inter Miami, right? If you look at kind of the
odds makers of what?
Well, I'll tell you. MLS Cup, for instance, right? The team is dead last in the Eastern Conference. They've got the 9th best MLS Cup odds. They're already the favorites to win Leagues Cup. And, you know, I will admit I'm the fan here. And I saw what he did in 40 minutes against Cruz Azul. And I thought, okay, there's something here for the long term. Now you see it from the beginning. And it's not just Messi, it's Busquets.
Sure.
And honestly, I don't know that I wouldn't take them to win Leagues Cup. And I don't think there's a team in MLS right now, Kasey, that has hit a higher level than what we've seen from Inter Miami in these 100 minutes. I know it's a really small sample size. Am I getting carried away? Are the odds makers here getting carried away, saying that Inter Miami is right now capable of winning hardware?
I don't have a problem with the Leagues Cup and even the Open Cup, because I think they're not going to catch up in the league. Yeah, I mean, they haven't traveled yet. They haven't had to change their side around very much. And there's been a huge buzz around obviously Messi coming into the side and having the success that he's had. But this means they're basically going to have to win every league game going out, home and away. And I think that's a bit of a stretch. But if you can then focus on one of the other 2 tournaments, which we know a lot of other MLS teams don't. And if you can take advantage of that with the talent and the motivation, and then obviously the rumors of so many other big-name new players possibly coming in, looking to replicate what Messi and Busquets have done with this quick start, then yeah, of course. Of course, in the cup competitions, but I think the league's a big stretch. I mean, it would be one of the most phenomenal turnarounds of all time. I mean, the Sounders had a really good one when they won their first title.
2016 with Herc.
Yeah, and but I think they're further back.
Right.
So that's a big ask.
And with less time to make it up, right? I think that's the important. Just 12 games left in the MLS regular season when they pick back up on August 20th. Let's talk a little bit about Atlanta's role, Kasey, in all this. Because as you saw in the highlights, yes, it is Lionel Messi. Yes, it is Sergio Busquets. But I think Atlanta also participated actively in their own dismantling. And we've got some video illustrations that are going to prove it here.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely the first goal. I mean, there's a point. Look, I mean, that's
Sergio Busquets you're giving that time to.
Well, but you're there is zero effort to press the ball. Zero in midfield. And then what's rule number 1? When there's no pressure on the ball in midfield.
I know this one because I'm an amateur. You drop off.
You have to drop. You do 2 cardinal sins. You don't press, and then you don't drop off. And yeah, that's way too easy for a college team, much yet those 2 players linking up. So yeah, really poor from Atlanta United on the first goal. Now here, once again, you got the drop-off, but you still have 0 pressure in midfield.
How do we explain that? Is that a team being starstruck a little bit? Because surely that's not the game plan to leave Messi open.
That's just, look, I know Gonzo Pineda well. There's no chance that there wasn't a preparation. Yes. It was just a really, really poor execution of a game plan. And those are worrying signs for Atlanta. When you're coming into that game with the motivation of playing against Messi, playing against Busquets, and you look like you don't want to be there.
Yeah. They I think tactically might have shown the rest of MLS what not to do against Inter Miami, because they were aggressive, right? And I think maybe there was some thought that they could create chances. Against Cruz Azul, Busquets made a late error under pressure that almost led to a goal.
Sure.
But really, when you think about trying to press a team that can build out through not just Sergio Busquets, but we know coming down the left side now, Jordi Alba, if you're another MLS team at this point, even if you're a great MLS team, a team that likes to play, don't you have to look at this Inter Miami side and say, we have to respect this. We have to play, even if we like to play aggressive, there's a lot of teams in MLS, Kasey, you know this, that love to press. Are they going to all have to sit back in 2 lines of 4 and just hope to hit them on the counter like everybody used to do against Barca back in the day?
But also understand that Messi and Busquets are relatively in preseason.
Right.
I mean, they're not at match fitness by any means. They're coming off the end of the European seasons, and where the rest of the squads, you're watching the games all over the place. That's where they would normally be, 2-3 games into their preseason. And now they're being asked to come in and step up and do very well. But so they're not where they will be, let's say, in 4 or 5 games. But teams, MLS has this level of parity because of the cap, because of everything that they can do. Yes, some teams spend more because of the mechanisms than others, and obviously we're seeing a prime example of that right now. But when you play for some of the teams that I played, particularly, let's just go to Leicester City. You're Leicester City in the Premier League. You get promoted. You're now playing against the Arsenals and the Man U's of the mid-'90s. You can't play them heads up. You play them heads up, you lose 4-0. You have to make an adjustment based on the team you're playing against and how well you're then able to disrupt what they want to do, but then still keep some of that identity yourself. So it is. It's probably going to be a lesson for a lot of managers in MLS that they're not going to be able to just say, well, this is how we play, and we're going to do that against these players. We're going to have to make adjustments because if we don't, you're going to pay the price. And look, I covered MLS for 10, 12 years and then played for 3. So there were times when I would watch tactics of teams going in and let's just go back a couple years and let's just say, Seattle Sounders with Jordan Morris and the pace, and you're playing a high line 50 yards up with no pressure on the ball, and you're going, wait, have you not watched the strengths and weaknesses of your opponent and realizing that your outside back and center back are so slow and you want to give this guy that kind of space to run in behind? No, you have to adjust to your opponent.
Sergio Busquets, obviously just a huge part of this as well. I mean, overall, in any way is...
Look, I would give Sergio a lot more credit if he didn't have 30 yards or 10 yards of space with no pressure to make a play a ball. Seb, look, I know I don't give you a lot of credit. You could have made that pass.
But it is something else to see a player with that technical ability in Major League Soccer. He is not just a little bit ahead of everybody else. He's clearly ahead of everybody else. And you can see the way, I think we can't just say it's Messi that has flipped this switch, right?
True.
It was 2 guys coming on. We've always seen them together, and I think that's been pretty obvious. In any way, and let's hit this quickly, because I want to get to Luis Miguel Echegaray, who's going to join us to talk about kind of the long-term future with Inter Miami. There are some corners of the internet that are saying, hey, the fact that this guy rocked up on the last place team, fresh off vacation, and is just destroying the league is a bad look for MLS. Is there anything to that in your opinion?
I think there's a very little percentage, right? I mean, but it goes down to some people trying to claim that we are maybe further along than we actually are. And look, you have to know where we are. You got to look at some of the budgets of our teams. I would say that right now, if you look at whatever the numbers, 50 million, 60 million, the MLS salary cap, besides certain mechanisms, is 5 million.
Right.
He's making 10 times the team salary cap. He's making 10 team salary cap. So understand what that means for, the rest of the squad. Yes, you can bring some players in and you can do it, but when you bring in a player like Messi, you have to understand that he is going to make some people look silly.
Yeah, I don't think it makes MLS look bad. I think it exposes some of the limitations that the rosters have because of the very limiting rules. And I think that's a big difference.
There's a combination between the limiting rules and then the idea that you've chose to limit the rules.
Right.
Because, I've had conversations with owners from different leagues saying, does it make more sense to have 5 guys making $500,000 than 1 guy making $2.5 million, and build your squad stronger than being 3-4 players top heavy.
Yeah.
But look, I would love to see MLS get to that point where they take away all these mechanisms, put a hard cap, soft cap, and 1 DP or 2 DPs or something, and then kind of take the training wheels off a little bit, and let the GMs, let the sport directors, let the coaches, let them build a squad based off of what their market needs. If you need to go sign a Messi to sell tickets, okay. But again, we talked about this the other day on FC. In the end, Messi should be coming here to help Miami win. Not a marketing ploy, not sell a shirt. That's all part of it. But the ultimate goal when most big-name players are signed to a team, it's to help that team win. And that has to be the number one criteria.
And so far, Lionel Messi, Sergio Busquets helping Inter Miami do that. Of course, they're under the guidance of Tata Martino, who took over for Phil Neville. And so far, it's a pretty good comparison for Tata Martino. We'll put it like that.
But they still haven't played a league game.
Okay.
They still have. I mean,
I know.
I mean, that's. I mean,
look, this is Futbol Americas. We're all about getting carried away with the momentum of Lionel Messi joining Inter Miami.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.